What's up, guys? HD Rider CT. Today we're going to have an unboxing of the brand new PSR USA Journey levers. They're going to be black in color for the 2024 Road Glide. These will also fit the 2024 Street Glide and will fit all of the CVO, CVO-ST models as well. So let's get into it. So inside the box, you're going to get, looks like an American flag sticker, as well as a PSR decal. You're going to get a keychain from them as well. And you're going to get your adjustable levers. So it looks like you have adjustments 1 through 6 on these. I can't wait to get these installed on the bike. So, all right, now let's get them installed. All right, so the first thing you're gonna wanna do is get this cover off for the clutch cable. There is a zip tie. It looks like you're gonna have to cut there. And somehow in between here, right on this, there is a little bracket that clips onto the frame holding this in place. You're gonna have to somehow pull that away, it looks like. You're gonna slide this cover up. All right, so you don't have to take this clamp out down here, but you do have to lift this sleeve all the way up. You wanna gain access to this red piece. You're gonna squeeze both of these sides inward and you're gonna make sure it's pushed out, because what you want is this to be out to release the tension on the clutch. Once you do that, after it releases the tension, you're just gonna push this back in while it's hanging out there. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. All right, on the clutch side, there's gonna be this plastic cover. Underneath, there is going to be a screw right here, which is a Torx 10. You're gonna have to remove that Torx 10 screw to take this cover off. All right, you're gonna wanna remove your left mirror. You're gonna need a 1/2 inch deep socket to remove the nut underneath. All right, so what I did just to make this easier when I put this back on, so I took a piece of blue tape, cut it at the base, and I drew a little line just so I know where to line the mirror up back to when I put it back. All right, so underneath there's gonna be this little clamp right here that you're gonna have to take off in order to remove the pin that's holding everything there. Right after you do that, you're gonna wanna loosen these with the T27, just 3 turns. Enough to kind of like let this sit back so you can take the pin out. At that point, you'll be able to remove the lever. All right, guys, so what's actually going to be easier to do is to just take those bolts out. I found that the bottom bolt almost was actually falling out to begin with. It wasn't even on tight. Once you do that, it's going to be much easier to take the pin out from the bottom. I did it while I was on the bike. And you're also going to want to be careful about this piece right here. This is the clutch triggers or whatever it is, I guess, for the electronics. So be careful with that. And then we're going to try to get these levers off. All right, guys, so a quick video on this. Pretty much this piece right here sits on the actual lever itself. Then there's a groove in the clamp that the cable feeds through. But if you see, there's this little shoulder piece that actually goes inside here. So what you're gonna have to do is pull this away from here until this is out enough where this pops out from here and it's just the cable, so that you can feed the cable through that channel and take both this off and the lever at the same time. Then once you have this off, you're gonna wanna take this plastic piece off, because you're obviously going to need this spring. So just remember how the spring sits. That's going to be important when you're putting it back on, because the spring does need to go in this channel right here. All right, so this plastic piece is going to be super hard to get out. What I used to kind of get it started on pushing it through was a number 6 extended and a 1/4 inch extension arm. Kind of just put it in the top over here and started pushing down. As you see, it's still not all the way out. All right, so we're getting this out. What I ended up actually finding out to be the best option was to use a 1/4-inch extension with another, or I'm sorry, 1/4-inch socket with a 1/4-inch extension and a rubber hammer to kind of push it out. You are going to run into an issue where this piece is going to hit here. So you're going to want to remove this bolt and this piece out using a T20. So we're going to go ahead and take that off and get this spring out for once. All right, so we got the spring clip installed as well as this plastic piece. Now what we're going to do is get this piece over that. Doing this one-handed, so it's a little tricky. All right, so you got that in the groove, and then you're just going to do this. Now is the fun part. You're going to have to put this back in place. And then you're going to, again, have to pull this to stretch this outside of the housing, at which point it'll sit in here. I'm going to set up a tripod and see if I can get that shown on video. All right. Whew. So we got that stretched over. We got that in place. Now we got to work on getting this spring on the outside into that. So I'm going to use a pick that I have to get that put back in place. All right. The next challenge you're going to run into is getting this pin put back in. So I tried doing it without this on the bike. It was not working whatsoever. So I ended up putting it on the bike. We're going to have to do, if you're righty or lefty, I guess it depends, but you're going to have to kind of like try flexing this piece back until you get it in alignment to the point where you can push this pin in. Otherwise, you are going to have the hardest time in the world. Also, I did loosen the cable for this, or the bolt for this, because it was making contact inside of the housing with the lever. So I just loosened it. I didn't take it out, just loosened it. So I had enough play in here. We're going to tighten that back up. I'm going to take this off, and then I'm going to put the C-clip or clamp or whatever back in place to hold the pin on. And then we're going to get this side put back together, and we're all done with the clutch side. I also forgot to mention the Torx you're going to want for this bolt. I have a Harbor Freight set. I believe it says it's a Torx 10. But the Torx 10 that I use for this appears smaller than the one I actually used for that plastic piece. So it's either going to be a 10 or maybe a 9. Just a heads up on that. All right, so we got this side all bundled up minus the mirror. Just going to go back to this, and we're going to clip it back into place. All right, so for the brake side, I think all we're going to have to do is remove the mirror. So take this out and then remove the pin. And I think this should just slide out. There's like a little plunger right there, but I believe when we put the new lever in, I think it just takes the place of that automatically. So we're going to go ahead and get this mirror out, take the pin out, and see if we could just get the lever out. So one issue that you guys are going to run into is the top part. The opening is not large enough to fit this bolt from the factory through there. So I'm going to try to put it in through the bottom and hammer it in to try to space it out a little bit more, but it does not look like it's going to be easy. So that part might need to be opened up a little bit more. All right, guys. So I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Even if this set is sent to me for review, I'm always going to give my honest feedback. This pin, the diameter of the opening for the actual grip itself was not large enough, so I did have to put on some grease, and I did have to hammer this in with a rubber mallet. That was honestly really the only way to get that pin to go in. Other than that, this was as simple as I thought it was. You're pretty much just going to take the mirror out, take the pin out, the other lever comes right out, and then this one goes right in, with the exception of having to use a mallet to push that in. So the lever actually has this plunger piece built into it. Everything lines up perfectly. So we're just going to put it back together. All right, guys, so I just got back from a quick ride, took it around the block. I will say that the adjustment on the brake lever is super nice, being able to have it closer. You will have to get used to it because you are not extending as much to break it in. But if you're at like a stop sign or a traffic light, there's not much resistance anymore, so it's not much fatigue on your hand, which is excellent. And I got used to it pretty quickly. Brakes work perfectly. The clutch side, the pull is a lot better than the factory one. We're not a lot. It's a little bit better than the factory one. I do wish this would come closer. But I get it. They really can't do anything because of the sensors from Harley. So if you have big hands, it's nice because you're going to be able to adjust it further out. So, I mean, you can go all the way from here to, that's number 6, to all the way to number 1, which will bring it there. So pretty significant change going from that to this, if you want the further reach. All right, guys, so just a quick update. I did do about a 100-mile back road ride, so I had plenty of opportunity to kind of test out the levers on that short ride. One thing I did find is that the automatic brake hold feature will not work if these levers are set to position number 1. I was having issues where when you pull it in, it doesn't go in far enough to activate that sensor. If you put it at position number 2, you are able to engage the automatic brake hold feature. So just keep that in mind, at least for these levers, the Journey versions. You will have to have it on option number 2 in order for the brake hold feature to work. All right, guys, so I do have about 200 miles on these levers now. Figured it was a good time to give you a final update on it. I am going to be taking a trip up to PA, so if there are any issues with it, I'll let you know then. But as of right now, in the 200 miles I've ridden with these levers, you can definitely tell that the clutch pull and the brake pull is reduced, which is a great thing because my hands get cramped up pretty easily. So they definitely work. I don't know exactly what the reduction in the pull is for both sides, but they are great levers, great quality, super easy to adjust. Just got to pull forward and adjust the knob. Like I said earlier on, if you are on level 1 for the brake, you will not be able to activate the automatic brake hill hold function that the bike has. If you put it on setting number 2 or above, you'll be perfectly fine. Not sure if that's going to be addressed and fixed, but as of right now, that is the only issue I've had with this. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment anything on there, and subscribe to the channel. It's free. It just helps me out. Thank you very much.